Hello, everybody. Welcome along. Good morning. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Show. My name is Benjamin Bloom, and typically, given my timing, as I went to do my live stream last night reviewing the brilliant game week 46 in the Championship, one of the three open positions for jobs in the Championship was filmed, so I'm having to do this after the fact, but I still thought I would give my views on Carlos Corberan being named as Huddersfield boss. Not Carlos Carvajal, Carlos Corberan, who has been an assistant manager at Leeds under Marcelo Bielsa. Obviously, Danny Cowley was fired around a week or so ago, 19th of July, that is up there. And I'll draw your attention just to the bottom of that statement. It was interesting at the time. The club are not seeking applicants for the vacant position. So there was some idea that Cowley went after that big win that looked like it might well deny West Brom promotion. Turned out that it didn't. But it looked like they already had their man, and this was already kind of sorted out. And so it has proved, because just a few days later, four in fact, Huddersfield Town appoint Leeds United assistant as head coach. Only 37 years old, you can see there. Carlos Corberan spent the past 3 years with the Whites, coached the under-23s as well as being on Marcelo Bielsa's staff. I'm under the impression, and maybe he's patting himself on the back here, but Andrea Radrizzani has come out and said that he wanted to facilitate moving Corberan closer to Bielsa to line up the progress of the under-23s through into the Leeds first team. So I think that seems to have been the path for Corberan at Leeds. Here's some quotes from Head of Operations Lee Bumby. After two difficult seasons, we've put a lot of work into what we want to be. Obviously, we need to return to winning games, and to be successful, we must have all areas of the club aligned in the way we work. We want to return to the no limits mentality that served this club so well back in 2017. We must start believing in ourselves and our people once again. Players and staff alike. Carlos was our ideal candidate for our new head coach from the outset, as his idea of football is completely aligned with ours. A couple of digs, I think, at the Cowleys in there, particularly his idea of football is aligned with ours. Remember, the Cowleys can be pragmatic and be more interested in stopping opponents rather than what they're doing with the ball, but they've been effective everywhere they have gone as well. And this idea of no limits mentality that, kind of imputes that there was limits on the players under the Cowleys in terms of expressing themselves. Remember, this is harking back to the brilliant promotion under Stuart Webber and David Wagner back in 2017, as they mentioned there. This is what Radrizzani had to say from Leeds. We've seen many other players join the team these 2 years as a consequence of my request. That's to have Corberan linked up from the 23s with Bielsa. At the same time, I understand the ambition of Carlos. Already last year, he had some opportunities to leave, become a first-team coach. I asked him to stay a year because we had unfinished business. He did stay, and I think now he needs the credit to enjoy his success, his hard work every day. I know how much Carlos works. I think now it is good if he can take his own way, his own path, and start a new journey to build himself as a first-team coach. He deserves it, said Andrea Radrizzani. So all very cordial from Leeds, and they're not standing in his way. No ideas that he's kind of, done a number on them by being developed and then going off. That's just the way it works sometimes. But certainly brave on Corberan's part and on Huddersfield's part. There is the league table. It wasn't a good season for Huddersfield. You can see they're 18th, 51 points, same as Luton in the end. Remember, they were two divisions apart the previous season. Huddersfield in the Prem, Luton in League One. They survived by 3 points. They weren't in that crazy shuffle on the last day of the season. They'd managed to get their way out of it. The story sort of went that Huddersfield came down with Jan Siewert, and it was almost like the losing mentality just carried over from the Premier League down into the Championship. They started very badly, and the Huddersfield higher-ups moved pretty quickly. I think it was like August the 16th, but it took them a few weeks to get the Cowleys in. It was probably 7 or 8 games in where I remember there being a league table where they had 1 point, I think, from the first 7 games. So absolutely awful start. The Cowleys have done well enough, as you can see. Sometimes you get situations where teams absolutely streak away from the bottom of the table. You know, they'll basically be on 1.6 or 1.7 points per game for a long while and go right up into mid-table. That didn't happen, but I don't know whether that's the Cowleys' fault. It did feel like they were coming in really, with 1 point from 7 games or whatever it was. The expectations and that big chunk of the season off would have been just to get them this far, but that seemingly hasn't been enough. This is what Corberan is going to be looking at as his team. That's the Who Scored projection of what Huddersfield have mainly played with this season. Some good, some bad there. Obviously, Chalobah and Smith Rowe are loan players, so they're not going to be around. The big asset there is front left is Carlin Grant, but he's being linked here, there, and everywhere. So there is some sorting out and a sense that a team does need to be built there. Toffolo obviously came in from Lincoln with the Cowleys. Schindler and Stearman have Premier League experience. O'Brien looks a good player in central midfield there. Kachunga and Campbell, well, they've done jobs, but not really commanded regular first team play. I predicted Huddersfield. I reviewed my predictions, in fact. I predicted them to finish 7th this season on the basis that they would have parachute payments. And this is going to be an issue for Corberan because it has been reported that basically Huddersfield are not really going to get to use their parachute payments. I know the whole purpose of parachute payments is it's to fund stuff that's going on in the Premier League and those contracts hung over, but we all know that's not quite how it works, and clubs manage to gain a pretty decent financial advantage over teams with these parachute payments whilst they're in the Championship. However, a lot of this is going to be going back to Dean Hoyle, the previous owner. Under the agreement there, second paragraph, 15 million must be paid within 5 working days at the end of this summer's transfer window, with 10 million due on the 31st of August 2021 and 2022. So that would take out the entire second season parachute payment, wouldn't it? It is 35 million, and that's what Hoyle is owed. It says here a further 31 million loan was taken out by the club that will be covered by this parachute payment 2020, 2021. So that sounds like 2 years worth of parachute payments basically covered in Hoyle and this loan. So basically they're not going to have any extra money than anybody else has got. So there's going to have to be some wheeling dealing. Obviously, with how cordial it seems to be with Leeds and the fact he was an under-23 guy there, you would immediately look. There are the guys that progressed through at Leeds, and particularly those top two, Shackleton and Struick. If they're not going to play in the Premier League, you would think that a loan of Struick or Shackleton to Huddersfield might be a likely thing. There's Poveda and Stevens as well. Clark obviously belongs to Spurs. Bogus, Davis, Gotts, Casey. Would not be surprised if any of those players ended up on loan. Obviously, from what we've seen of Struick and Shackleton in the past couple of games since Leeds were promoted, those would be the ones you think he'd be aiming to get. There's a strong history of assistants being promoted. sometimes you'll get the situation where a manager is fired and the assistant actually takes over at the club. Whereas this is more like a Mikel Arteta working for Pep Guardiola and then going to do his own thing. I'd say a couple of things here. One is that, yes, he's leaving Leeds, Corberan, and going somewhere else. And he hasn't been entrenched as an assistant for 10, 15 years. Like some of these examples we're going to bring up. There is Sammy Lee working for Sam Allardyce. That didn't really work when he went at Bolton. Steve McLaren, I suppose, went off well there with Ferguson. He got the England job, didn't he? Terry Connor tried to do Wolves after Mick left. Down the bottom there. That didn't work out, but it was same club. Kevin Blackwell went off and tried to do Leeds from Warnock. Mike Phelan at Hull. That didn't work, did it? And then I just thought I'd put in Jose Mourinho there, the assistant to Bobby Robson and Louis van Gaal. He did all right, didn't he? But he was always going to do all right, wasn't he? I just thought I'd throw those three faces up there. Farke, Seward and Wagner. Huddersfield were ahead of the curve with the German business and Stuart Webber and using that as a market. Norwich then did essentially a very, very similar thing with Webber and the German market as well to get up. Are we now seeing, especially given it's Huddersfield that have been at the forefront of it and Seward was there and they've bombed him out, are we now going to see the kind of Bielsa effect on the league, and that's going to be the trend that people are going to try and follow? And of course it's been highly successful, but there is some idea that Bielsa was a bit of a one-off. But then we all sat here and said, oh, Norwich are just copying Huddersfield. What happened to Norwich? They got promoted. Look, I think it's going to be tricky for Corberan. I think it helps that he hasn't been an assistant for years and years like some of those faces that we put up. It does feel fresh. Feels like there could be a good link up with Leeds. Now they're into the Premier League as well. There's an issue there that I hadn't realised prior, a few months ago about the parachute payments, that he's not really going to have any more money than any other, reasonably revenue generating Championship club. So he's, in respects of are Huddersfield all of a sudden going to be a automatic team and a playoff team? Remember, we're going to have Norwich plus two others with parachute payments coming down. And there are other people already higher up that ladder in respect to Bristol City, Preston, maybe if Brentford stay down, who are already doing the recruitment thing really well without parachute money. So it's a tough one. I admire Huddersfield for taking what seems to be a gamble on an untried guy. Untried guy at head coach level, but it worked with David Wagner before, didn't it? And I admire Corberan for backing himself. He could have gone to the Premier League and worked for Bielsa and been in the background, but he's gone for it. So I wish him luck, and I wish Huddersfield luck next season with the appointment. Why don't you let me know how you think it will go as ever in the comments? How do you think Carlos Corberan will do? Do you think he can, I know we have a lot of Leeds fans here, do you think he can link up with Leeds and maybe get Struick or Shackleton in on a loan next season? And do you see an improvement up higher from 18th into mid-table or even better than that? Or is it going to be a struggle? Let me know what you think. As ever, you can support this channel, a Championship channel here, via the Super Chat feature on YouTube. You can subscribe on Patreon. All of that helps me out. I don't have a job now. I'm trying to get to do this part-time or full-time. It's going pretty well, so thank you for everyone for their support. It's absolutely free, though, to just hit the like button, type a comment here, get the debate going as we always try, and please, please subscribe. As you can see, we've got a new plaque up there. We've got 10,000 subscribers on the channel now. Let's keep growing that number. Thank you, everybody, for watching. This has been the Benjamin Bloom Football Show. And please get your comments in. Carlos Corberan named Huddersfield boss. That was my reaction. Thank you for watching. Over and out.